Hi, Rick Lineker here. Today we're going to be talking about the CSS float mechanism. Before we do that, let me go ahead and take care of a couple of housekeeping issues. The first issue is the name, the file name for your main page. And I've been pretty lenient on this, and you've been pretty creative in using things such as main page or index or page one or so forth. But I'm going to ask you from now on to name your main pages either default or index. Default being from the Microsoft world and index being from the Linux or Unix world. Whether you use an HTML or an HTML extension doesn't really matter that much. Normally in the Microsoft world, HTML is more common. Normally in the Linux world, .html is more common. So go ahead and start that procedure now. Notice also in my directory I have two folders, a styles folder and an images folder. I would like for you to get in the habit of creating those right away as soon as you start your projects. That way you will know that you have to use the images folder and the styles folder. It's just a good habit to be in. I have a single image in my images folder that we're going to start with. Okay, so that's enough of the housekeeping. Let's go ahead and edit our default.html. Let me go ahead and put an image tag in here. And of course, by now, you know exactly how to do that, right? Okay, there's my image tag. Okay, and let's get some text in there. And go ahead and save that. And render it. Okay, this actually looks like crap, to be really blunt with you. Do you see how the image is off to the left and all this text just kind of, it flows to the right, but then it only starts at the very bottom of the image. And that actually is not a very appealing look. Now, there are some things, some attributes you can add to image tags from that we used to use a lot. They're not used very much anymore. In fact, they're not XHTML compliant, so while they still work, we want to kind of avoid them. Okay, so let's get rid of this. And let's get our source code back. And let's see what we can do to fix this. Even before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and set my width and height. Let's set it to something more reasonable. I know I'm kind of messing up the whole aspect ratio of this thing. Let's just refresh this guy. Okay, that's a little bit nicer. Okay, so let's go to our source code and fix this problem so it looks a lot better. So let's go to the image tag and add a style attribute. Okay, float left. Save that guy, go over here, refresh, and now all the text goes on up. Of course, that text is really small, so what we could do is make the text a bit bigger with a span. Let's make it really big there. Oops. Font size. Okay, we'll end the span here. Save that guy, go back here and refresh him. Okay, that looks a little bit nicer. Obviously from the footnote here you can see I got this text from Wikipedia. And I would like to encourage you, instead of typing in tons and tons of stuff, just to go out and get text like from Wikipedia so you have lots of text to experiment with. So anyway, back here what we did was we added the style element of float and we set its value to left. Okay, and this is really okay for just getting started, that you have a style element here within the IMG tag, and here in the span tag we've got a font size, which is okay for right now, although it's not optimal. So what we're going to do, we're going to go out and create a style sheet, and we'll create cool styles.css, and we're going to make sure that all of our image tags float left. So let's do it like this. Float left. Now you could do this in a class if you just wanted to float just a single image left. Let me save that, minimize him, go back to my HTML, and now I have to reference that CSS file here. Okay, so we're just going to add our link here, and it's called cool styles.css. Save that. Now what we can do is remove this because we don't need it anymore. It's taken care of. I actually made a mistake. Styles / and we'll test this out, and there we go. So in this way you can format or set up your images and your text so that they have the proper relationship to each other. Okay, so now from images we're going to move on to paragraphs next. And what I'll do is open up my HTML code and add a couple of paragraphs. Actually, I think I'll add 3 paragraphs. Okay, and there we have 3 paragraphs that we can work with. And let me just go ahead and quickly check on them and see what they look like. Okay, there we go. Actually, they look like crap. Once again, let me go ahead and add a span so that they're a little bit bigger. I'll style this with a span tag, and I'm also going to move this down, all this text down, so it doesn't clash with the image tag. So let me do that right now. We will. Okay, span. I won't make it quite as big as the other text. Let's make it, say, 16 points. And you guys know that copy and paste is my friend. Okay. Add this at the end of that paragraph, at the end of that paragraph, at the end of that paragraph. Okay. And right here we will just stick in some BR text. There's actually a better way to do this, but right now we're just trying to get the float under our belts. Okay, so now we have 3 independent paragraphs below this image. Good. So let's go into our HTML and add a style characteristic here besides the span in here. And we're going to say style equals float left, and we'll add our friend float left. Now let's go back and see what that does to the look of that. Okay. Now, one of the difficulties is it's going to be kind of hard for you to see the way these paragraphs are laid out. So we're going to go into our style sheet and put a border around these paragraphs, just so we can kind of get an idea of what's going on here. So let's see, border, 2 pixels, black, solid. Okay, save that. Now let's go back up here and hit refresh, and you can see where the paragraphs are. Oh, gosh, it looks really strange. That second and third paragraph seem to be somehow conflicting. And the reason they're conflicting is because the second paragraph uses the float CSS mechanism, and that means that the very next paragraph will be directly to its right. We have to do something about that so that these paragraphs are not conflicting with each other. Let's try this. Let's set a width to that second paragraph and see if that makes any difference. It'll obviously make a difference, but what kind of difference? Let's make it, say, 300 pixels. Save that. Render this guy. Oh, okay, so it looks different. Maybe not better, but different. So we still have what looks like a mess. So then what we'll do to fix this is set a margin for that third paragraph. So let's go ahead and get back here, add a style element here into the third paragraph. Style equals, Okay, we're going to say margin left, and we're going to set it to just, you see how we set this width to 300 pixels? We're going to go ahead and set it a little bit more than that. We'll say 310 pixels. And that way it should be directly to the right of that second paragraph. Re-render, and there we go. And that